Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shivatsangam Mahoraskam, Vanamala Virajidam, Shankachakradharam Devam, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. I bow to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahe, Tejasvina Atitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected. May we be nourished. May our learning be enthusiastic. And may our studies lead us to enlightenment. And most of all, may we never have cause to fight with each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. Hari Om, that's it. I'm very happy to see all of you today. And yeah, I'm so happy to see all of you. And I'm hoping that most of you must have attended some Bhagavad Gita classes, either Vanamali classes or some other classes. So you know some background of Lord Krishna. Now the Bhagavad Gita, but I should give you a background of the Uddhava Gita also. The Bhagavad Gita, as you know, was set in the Mahabharata war. And that we are going to Uddhava Gita, which happens at the very end of his life. That is 35 years after the Bharata war, this Uddhava Gita is said. So what is the situation, historical situation at that time? Let us have a look. We will see that after the war, actually, Bharat enjoyed the most wonderful time when the whole country was united under the wonderful leadership of the Emperor Yudhishthira, as Krishna had envisaged before he started the war, and that's why he started the war. For the first time since Ramarajya, that was about another 2,000 years ago, Bharata enjoyed, as I said, this beautiful time when everything was at peace, everyone worked, loved their leader, and they all joined in him to make this country a most beautiful one. But slowly, what happened? The Yadavas, the Yadava clan to which Krishna belonged, they were at a time when Krishna was born. Actually, they were a sort of a not knit group of various tribes all together, the Bhojas and the Vrishnis and so on. But after he came into power, he collected all of them, and their land stretched from Mathura on the Yamuna right up to the Western Sea, to Dwaraka, and they had everything. They had a wonderful life. They had wonderful drinks. They had nothing they lacked. They were rich. They had conquered the world. Everyone was frightened of them. They obeyed them. They were really lords of the land, one would say. But as usual, too much of wealth, always there is a downfall when they have too much of wealth. And slowly, a canker seems to have set into the Yadava clan. They had everything. As I said, they ate too much, they drank too much, and perhaps like today, they even had drugs. This is happening to the very rich country states and the children born to rich parents, that they have enjoyed all pleasures when they're very young, and so they take to drinks and drugs and so on when they become when they come to a youthful stage. So this happened to the Yadavas also, and many of them, there was too much of drinking and too much of doistering and too much of boisterous activity, and forgotten was a time when they practiced yoga, they did meditation, they did pranayama, and they had come to a great, very high state spiritually as well. So now the Lord realized that, actually speaking, the time had come for Gandhari's curse. I don't know, I should remind you that after the Mahabharata war, when the Pandavas together with Krishna went to meet Dhritarashtra and Gandhari because all their sons had been killed, Gandhari did not curse the Pandavas, Arjuna or Yudhishthira or Bhima for having killed her sons. She did not. She cursed Krishna. She said, "You are the one who was behind this whole thing. If you had wanted, you could have stopped the war, but you did nothing. And therefore I curse you that one day your women will also feel the pain of having lost all their sons and all this thing as we are doing now." So this curse took, it was 35 years later, this curse was supposed to be, and now the time had come. So then what happened? And Krishna, as I said, Krishna realized, and in order to now Krishna's always, you will understand, he was never one to give advice, unnecessary advice to anyone. Because even advice, unless you give it at the correct time, place, and to the right person, it will have no effect. As he said that many times before in the Bhagavad Gita. Everything, even charity, should be done at the right time, at the right place, and to the right person. But with that in mind, the fact is that he hardly ever see that he ever gave it advice, not even to his own sons. Because a person who wants to gain knowledge should go with humility to the person, the guru, and humbly ask him for knowledge. Only then that knowledge will flow. Because like a river, it has flow from top to, it gets only from the heights to the lower portions. And his sons, as usual, with all children, they never had as much an idea of the glory of their father as other people did. So he never advised them because they never asked for advice. They thought they knew everything. So this was the situation. And at that time, as you see, so Krishna, only twice in his life he gives advice. One is to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Arjuna, as you know, was a kshatriya. His fighting was in his very blood. And he was it was a time of great, a very, very time fraught with danger for the whole of Bharat. And unless Arjuna did his duty by fighting with the opposing adharmic forces, there would be no change in the atmosphere of the whole country. And therefore, to him, Lord Krishna advises to fight. Now, the final time, the second advice is to Uddhava at the end of his life, and end of both their lives, in fact. Both of them were actually 125 years old. The war had been fought and they were 90 years old. So he was already at the end of his life. And that was the time he gave the advice to Uddhava. And we must understand, who was Uddhava, first of all? Uddhava was also belonged to the Yadava clan. But unlike Arjuna, who considered himself to be the friend of Krishna and who took a lot of liberty with him, Uddhava always was in the attitude of a servant. That is, Arjuna was a Sakya Bhava, whereas Uddhava had a Dasya Bhava. That means he considered him to be his servant. He did everything for him. Krishna, you know, I don't know whether you know the life of Krishna. Though he was born in the kingly clan, he was a nephew of the king of the Bhojas, of Kamsa. Yet he was born in a dungeon and he was smuggled away by his father to the small cowherd settlement called Gokula across the river Yamuna. And there he was brought up till the age of 12. At the age of 12, he went with the rest of the cowherd people to the Mathura, to the capital city, in order to see the sights, so apparently. But it was time for him to start his campaign. So at the age of 12, he went there. And after killing his uncle Kamsa, who was notorious for his wickedness, At that time, he mixed with the other Yadava children. Uddhava was one of them. So actually speaking, he had been with Uddhava from the time of 12 years old. Both of them at the time of 12 were together. This is the state of Uddhava. Uddhava considered him total. And again, Uddhava was another thing. He was one of the few examples we have been given of the Jnana Bhakta. Jnana means Uddhava was highly intelligent. He knew everything. He knew all the Vedas as well as everything that the Sanatana, basis of the Sanatana Dharma, the rules and regulations and the scientific implications were all known by Uddhava because he was a very brilliant person. Unlike Arjuna, Arjuna was only a fighting person. He was not that brilliant. But Uddhava was not only brilliant, he was a jnani. He was a jnani as well as he was a bhakta, which is very, very rare combination. Because jnanis somehow seem to have an ego. They think, oh, I'm great, I know everything, I don't need anybody's help, and so on and so on. This is the sort of ideas which a jnani has normally. But on the contrary, Uddhava was a bhakta, so he had humility. One of the greatest qualities of the bhakta is humility. They feel that I am lower, I am only an instrument. I am only an instrument in the hands of God. So they have great bhakti. So there was a difference between the characters of Arjuna and Uddhava, and therefore the advice given to them both were also totally different. One was asked to fight, one was asked to go into and carry this knowledge apart. So that is one small aspect of that. Another thing is, let us see the situation in Dwaraka at that time. As I told you, it was already time for and Krishna knew, as I told you, the Yadavas had become so haughty that nothing would stop them except he himself. Therefore, he arranged it that some great saints, rishis, sages came to Dwaraka at that time. And, the sons of Krishna himself, who were really, as I said, they were debauchery and drinking bouts and so on were there, and gambling bouts. And they decided they will play a trick on these rishis, who knew nothing after all. They thought they were so great. So they dressed up Samba. He's one of Krishna's son by Jambavati. They dressed him up as a pregnant woman. And they put him in front of the rishis and said, "Oh, great souls, oh, great masters, this woman is expecting a baby, and she's too bashful to ask you what the sex of the baby will be. So please, we know that you are great and you know everything. You are so wise and you are omniscient and all. Therefore, please tell her what is the sex of her baby that is going to be born to her." The rishis gave one look at them and said, "It will be neither a girl nor a boy, but it will be an iron pestle, which will bring the end of your clan." And they walked on. These men started laughing and laughing in scorn at these rishis who knew nothing at all. And very soon they found Samba was writhing in pain, and suddenly an iron pestle came out of his stomach. And they were extremely frightened. They were so frightened they didn't know what to do. They took that and ran to the king, Ugrasena, the king Ugrasena, because Krishna never had ever accepted kingship. He always gave it to someone. He was a maker of kings, but he never became a king. He never wanted to become a king. So anyway, they went to Ugrasena and told him the whole story. So Ugrasena ordered, this pestle was given to an ironmonger, and he was told to grind it till it became like little powder. But however much they ground it, only one small piece was left. So he said, throw the whole thing, the powder as well as that piece of iron, into the sea. So they throw it into the sea, which was lapping against this thing of Dwaraka, and somehow this was washed away across to the other side, a place called Prabhasa, where these little filings went and became, actually they became grass. they become, all these hundreds and thousands of little filings became grass, called a very sharp-edged grass, like a sword, known as errata. The filing of that little piece of seal, which could not be filed, was eaten by a fish, swallowed by a fish. The fish was caught by a fisherman, and when he cut up the fish, he found this little thing, and he thought to himself, my little friend was a hunter. He will be happy to get this and make it an arrowhead, because it's steel and iron was difficult to get in those days. So this was given to his little friend, and he made it into arrowhead, because he was a hunter. Now that story is I'll tell you that story later, but at the moment this was the situation in Dwaraka. And then when Lord Krishna was relaxing, the Lord knew everything. Nobody told him anything. They did not to disturb him. Some or other, nobody told him everything. Not even nobody told him. Even the king did not tell him. So he was resting. He knew everything what was going on. And at that time, the great gods, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Varuna, all these great gods came to extol him. They praised him, and they told him beautiful hymns of praise were sung to him. At the end of it all, Brahma told him, "O Lord," he said, in the beginning, when the earth was groaning under the weight of these wicked rulers, I myself came to you and asked you, please do incarnate yourself on this world, so that you can bring dharma back again. And you agreed. And that's why you took on the form of Krishna and came into this thing. Now it is 125 years since you have been on this planet, and it is time for you to go back. I know that you yourself have planned that your own clan would perish very soon. So that makes me think that it is time for you to go back. So I request you, Lord, please come back to your celestial abode. Krishna smiled and said, "Yes, I realize that the time has come, and I will do as you say, after having finished the rest of my work here, which is the demolition of my own clan." So thus, this was the situation in Dwaraka at that time. Now, at that time, during the time of the curse of the sages and so on, it had so happened that Uddhava was not there. Usually Uddhava never left him, even for all the time he used to be with him. But for some reason, he had gone to some other place just at that particular time. So then, when Uddhava returned, he heard about this. He heard about this and he rushed to see the Lord. He didn't know. He realized that something drastic was going to happen. And then he talks to the Lord, and we are going to begin the first chapter of the Uddhava Gita with that. And he asks him to take him with him. He says, because he tells him from the age of 12, I have been with you. And now I hear that you're going to go away. I cannot live without you. So this is the background of this amazing Gita, or the song which he tells Uddhava, which, as I said, is a little quite different from what the Bhagavad Gita talk which he gave to Arjuna. So let us start with Uddhava's first question to Lord Krishna. Tanirikshyoddhavo rajan shrutva bhagavadodidam drishtva rishtani ghorani nityam Krishna manuvradaha vivitta upasamgamya jagadamishwareshwaram pranamya shirisa pado pranjali samabhashada. Seeing Krishna in this way, Uddhava approached him and bowed to him and asked him this question. Shri Uddhava vaja devadevesha yogesha punyashravana kirtana samhrudatte chudgulam nunam logam samtyakshade bhavan viprashabam samartobhi pratyahanya yadishwaraha. O Lord of Lords, O God of Gods, I hear that I fear that you are going to leave this world because I fear that you have not the curse of the sages, which you could easily have taught it. You did not bother to taught. That makes me feel that definitely you have decided that you are going to leave this world very soon, he says. Naham tadangrigabalam kshanardham abhikeshava tettum samutsehe nada swadhamanayamamabe. As for me, he says, O Lord, not for a second can I live without your lotus feet, without seeing your lotus feet every morning. I cannot live even for a second. And therefore I beg you, O Lord, take me with you to your divine abode. And saying this, he totally prostrated himself before that Lord of Lords who was lying there and looking at him with such a benign and loving expression, totally at ease, totally unperturbed by all that things which were happening around him. Because always his work was always that of a witness. He never unnecessarily meddle in it unless it was absolutely necessary, as it was in many times during the Kurukshetra war. But normally his idea was only to look and maybe to give one. By his very presence, people would think what is the best thing to do or say. That is his way. He was always the witness and never the active participant. Even in the Mahabharata war, he was not an active participant. He was only the charioteer. Even though he participated in many other ways, he was not an active participant since he was not allowed to fight at all. So now he looked at him there it was on the battlefield on a chariot, and the horses, restive horses, and the whole of the Kaurava army in front of him. But here he was sitting on his divan, and he looked at Uddhava, threw himself Sashtanga in front of him and caught hold of his lotus feet and said, I cannot bear to be parted for even a second from these lotus feet of yours, O Lord. Please take me with you, was what he said. And Lord Krishna looked at him with great sympathy, with great love flowing out of his eyes. And as Uddhava continued, Tava vikridam Krishna nram paramamangalam karnapiyushamakhyadam swajana tyansruham janaha. O Krishna, thy sport which is conducive, all this is your leela, a sport. All that you've taken avatar, 125 years you have been living on this planet. And for what? It was a leela for you, it was a game for you, everything is a game for you. Nothing, you've never at any time did you take thinking that it is most serious, because everything is a passing show, really speaking. He shows us that this life itself, our life itself, is only a passing show. It is meant to be enjoyed. When we look at a TV screen and we look at so many battles or, thieves or murderers or lovers, whatever it is, we know it is a passing show and we enjoy the show and we are not affected by it. But in this world when we live, this is the same passing show, but we are affected by it. We become sorry, we become happy, we become joyful, because we involve ourselves into that passing show. Just as if you involve yourself into the passing show of the TV screen, you will start crying, some of people even start crying, or you will start laughing, because you involve yourself with that. In this life, we involve ourselves with this life which is only a passing show. It is just exactly like what is happening in the TV screen. And this TV screen in our life is our mind. The mind is the one in which this huge drama of our life is being played. So, because we think we are the supreme heroes or heroines of our own lives, we cry when somebody hurts us, we laugh when somebody praises us, and we live on the seesaw of good and bad, because this world is a world of duality. It is always either sometimes very, very down or sometimes very up, as we have told even in the Bhagavad Gita. So here he says, so these sports we are conducive to mankind, and are like nectar to the ear. When actually a person listens to your leelas, when they read your stories, when they read about your life, then people will realize that it was such an amazing life. Because really speaking, just like Sri Rama, he went through much even worse situations. But in every situation, you'll never find that he ever cried, that he ever become upset. He was always the same. As he says in this thing, like the lotus leaf on water is the way that we should live in this world. Because that lotus comes up from the dregs and mud of that pond. But it raises its head out of that stinking waters and looks at the sun above. And it's a glorious thing which gives joy to everybody. So also, though we have come from the dregs of this samsara which is trying to pull us down, it is capable. We are capable of lifting up our heads to that sun of enlightenment which will lead us upwards. And as Uddhava says, by listening to your stories, the way you lived your life, like the lotus leaf on the water, we can also attain to the enlightenment. Shayyasana dhana sthana sana kridashanadishu kadam tvam priyamatmanam vayam bhaktasya mahi. But me, what about me? He says, what can I do? People can do that, but I cannot do like that. Because from the time of 12, we have been together. Whether we were sleeping or eating or playing or joyfully enjoying something, shayyasana sa krida, whatever what we were doing, seeing, bathing, sporting, eating, everything. These are all we were done together. For how many years? Now today we are both 125 years old. From the time I was over 100 years I have been doing all this with you and you alone. Do you expect me to leave everything like this and go and say, oh, I care nothing? Are you going? Let you go like this without taking me? So he's totally devastated. Tvayova mukta sragmanda vaso lankara charchidaha uchishta bojano dasastava mayam jaye mahi. And I have been I have conquered, I am your servant, and I have conquered Maya. Because actually speaking, I have only worn those clothes which you have worn and thrown away. Which you have thrown away. The next year you will wear your cast-off clothes. Those garlands which were thrown away the previous day, I would wear those garlands. Those angans, that sandal paste which had been put for you, I would take that and put on myself. Everything that, and what did I eat? I eat only your uchishtam. That means after you had your food. What was left of that food is what I used to eat. It's considered a great thing in Hinduism to have that. Usually we don't say we never eat the remains of the food of some other person. But the food which is given by a holy person, which is eaten by a holy person or your guru, when you eat that, it's supposed to be the greatest. It is supposed to give amrit, which is given you, it's a nectar of immortality will be given to you. So Uddhava says, I never ate any food by myself except that which was left over from yours. And this is how I have lived my life. And because of that, I was able to cross over Maya. But now you cannot leave me and go like this. I cannot let you go like this, he says. Yeah, but then Vadashana charashaya shramana urdhaman vidhanaha brahmakyam dhama te yanti shanta sannyasino malaha. He says, maybe these great sages who live in the Himalayas, they have only air. They don't eat anything. They eat only air. Maybe, and they practice all sorts of, great methods by which they control their senses. And they may be able to get enlightenment without having, recourse to a person like you. But I am not like that. I'm not like that. I'm an ordinary person. I'm an ordinary person who is used to doing some work and doing, I do work. I expect some results from that, and I have been doing this. But I have been following you all my life. That is all the greatest good fortune that I had is that I have been following you all my life. But for those people who have not had that good fortune, who are living an ordinary life in this ordinary world, what about them, O Lord? What will happen to them, he says? Vayam tuha mahayogin brahmanta karma vatmasu tvadhartaya satarishyama savakaidu saram tamaha. But how will these people transcend this samsara which is so difficult to go across? Tell me some method but why these people, rest of us, can go across, swim across this ocean of samsara, he said. So actually speaking, he is asking not for himself, because he knows that he who has been his shadow, he says, I've been your shadow from the time of 12. Now how can her shadow be ever be separated from that, the body? So therefore, oh Lord, he says, I know that I will transcend Maya. I know that I will be helped by you to go. But what about all these poor people who have not been so fortunate as to have known you, as to have seen you, who have played with you, who have eaten with you, who have worn your old clothes, who have worn your garlands and sandal paste which you have been blessed, which have pasted all over you, which people put all over you. What about them? For their sake at least, oh Lord, please tell me what we should do, he says. Smaranta kirtayantaste kridani gadidani cha gatyusmin tekshana trela yanduloka vidambanam. See, such, for us, he says, by thinking of you, even when you're not there. I mean, very seldom have I ever left you for even a few days, except that time he had sent Uddhava to Gokula with a message for the gopis to say, give them some comfort when he left them. But he said, I have been away from you for such short whiles, but at that time, I keep remembering how you looked at me, how you would answer me, how you would expect me to act, how you would give advice, tell me, Uddhava, this is not, just by your look you will tell me, Uddhava, that's not the correct thing to do. You are the antaryami, you are inside, and you will tell me how you do everything. But what about these people, he said, those who have never seen you, who have never heard about you, this thing. What should they do? What can they do to go across the samsara sagara? So he said, and Bhagavan, Sri Shukavaja, now remember this whole thing, this comes from the this actually, the Bhagavad Gita comes from the, not from the Bhagavatam, but from the Bhagavad Purana. Bhagavad Purana it comes from. At the end of that is the 11th skanda, and the 6th chapter is where Uddhava Gita comes. 11th skanda, the last portion of the Bhagavad Purana, which Vyasa wrote after having done everything all the other Puranas he had written, and yet he was unsatisfied. And that time Narada comes to him and tells Vyasa, why is it that you have done so much, and so you have even separated the Vedas, you've written 18 Puranas, you have written the great dharmic volume known as the Mahabharata. Yet, why are you so this thing? So Vyasa says, yes, I am still unhappy. I feel I have not said enough. What is it what should I do now? So actually Narada is the one who tells Vyasa, it is because you have not written enough about the leelas of that Purnavatara. Krishna is known as the Purnavatara. Even Rama is only Amshavatara. Krishna himself is the Purnavatara, the supreme descent of the divine into the form of a human being. So he said, you should write. Then Vyasa sat and started writing about this Bhagavad Purana. And the Bhagavad Purana was first said by Sri Shuga, that is Vyasa's son, Shuga, who told it to Parikshit Maharaj, who had been cursed by Rishi that he would die of snake bite. We won't go into that story, but the fact is that Parikshit was the only grandson of the Pandavas who was rescued by Krishna himself, and he was the one who was ruling the land, and for some reason he was cursed, and then within 7 days he would die of snake bite. So at that time, Sri Shuga just said, Sri Shuga was a wonderful person. He was a man in cosmic consciousness always. You can't even call him a man. He always looked a young boy. He looked like a boy of 16. And he went about totally naked because he had no body consciousness whatsoever. He felt that he was in one with the whole universe. So that it said that once Vyasa called to him, oh my son, he called. And instead of the son replying to him, the whole of the universe, the trees started saying, here I am, here I am, here I am, here I am, until the very skies started saying, here I am, because he was one with the whole of cosmos. Such a wonderful person was Sri Shuga. He knew. He just used to just wander. He had no particular program. He had no particular wish or anything because he had attained everything. He was in a state of cosmic consciousness. And he just wanders into this island where Parikshit is lying, waiting for death. And this is the advice he gives him. At that time, he is the one who tells the whole of the Bhagavad Purana to Parikshit. So, I said that Bhagavad last in the 11th skanda, that is a many volume, the 11th volume, and the chapter 6, that is where this is described. So, that is why now and again, Hey Rajan, he says. So, Sri Shugas are calling Hey Rajan, O King, to Parikshit Maharaj himself. So, he says, Uddhava says, what should they do who have not had the good fortune to have seen you in truth, in life, in human form? They may be able to read about you, they may be able to hear about your wonders, and that is good enough because that's all that's written in the Bhagavad Purana later on, of course. But yet I feel there's something lacking. So please tell me, O Lord, how we who are swimming and drowning in this ocean of samsara with the world, the crocodiles of greed, envy, anger, jealousy are all trying to push us down and make us drown into this samsara. Tell us, O Lord, how should we save ourselves? At that time, Lord Krishna looked at him and said these words. Shri Shugavaja evam vitnyabido rajan bhagavan devaki sudaha egantinam priyam Vrityum Uddhavam Samabhashada. Thus, when he was appealed to like this by his beloved servant, Uddhava, beloved servitor actually, Uddhava, Bhagavan looked at him with love streaming out of those lotus eyes, and with a smile he said, yes, Uddhava, I will tell you what we should do. So that is an approach to this to the Uddhava Gita, and now we will be starting the first chapter of his actual advice. Shri Bhagavan Vaja Yadatha Mam Ha Bhaga Sadhikirpidameva Me Brahma Bhavo Logapala Swarvasam Me Bhikankshanaha. So, Maya Nishpadidam Hyatra Devakaryamasheshadaha Yadartha Bhavavi Tornaham Ashena Brahmanartidaha. So he says, look, you are right. You are right in thinking that I am thinking of leaving this world. Actually, even just a few minutes ago, Brahma and all the other Logapalas, that means those who are the gods of different directions and different things, they all have their own duties to perform. So all of them had come here, and Brahma himself had begged me to return to my abode. So you're right in thinking, and it is true that very soon I will be leaving this world. Kulam Vaishamanirthagdam Nakshantanyonya Viprahat Samudra Saptame Yatam Purim Cha Plava Vishyade. So he says, it is true, and listen to me. This Yadava clan, which I myself have brought up, they will all perish very soon. And on the 7th day after that, this very city, Dwaraka, which I have myself built, that also will go under the sea, because at that time, so many years ago, I reclaimed it out of the sea, and therefore when I leave this world, it will also go back into the sea. Yahyovayam maya tyakto logoyam nashtamangalaha bhavishyatya chirat madho kalina binirakradaha. Now, the moment I leave this world, oh my dearest friend, Kali, the age of Kali, the iron age of Kali will set in, and therefore you have to do something in order to save yourself. Navastavyam tvaye heda maya tyakte mahitale janor dharmarujit bhadra bhavishyadi kalau yuge. So, my dear child, he says, the age of Kali, more and more evil-minded people will start coming in. So it is not good for you to stay in this world anymore after I leave this world. So you should also leave, and I will tell you how you should leave, he said. Tvam tu sarvam parityajya sneham tvajana bandhusho maya veshamana samyak samadhigchara swagam. So he says, just the opposite. Remember, see how amazing this is. The opposite advice that he gave to Arjuna. To Arjuna, what did he say? You have to go into the battle of life. You have to fight. You have to fight for dharma. Because he who does not fight for his own swadharma, for his dharma, his national dharma, the dharma of his country, if he does not fight for that, then adharma will overtake him. So Arjuna, it is your duty as a kshatriya to fight. Now Uddhava is also a kshatriya, but he tells him this. No, it is time, Uddhava, because Kali Yuga will come the moment, Kali is just waiting, the moment I leave this world, the Kali will set in totally, and evil people will abound more and more. Therefore, it is not right for you to stay here anymore. You should also go away from this world, he says. But yadidam manasa vacha chakshurbyam shravanadibihe nashwaram grahamanam cha vidhi maya manomayam. So he says, you should also give up your love for your kinsmen. They all are going to die in any case. All of them will die very soon. You will be one of the two who will be left. The only two Yadavas who will be left, one is you. So he says, but it is not yet time for you to leave the world. You have some more work to do. Therefore, leave your love. When you see them all dying, you may feel upset, and so don't wait for that. Just go, even now. Even now, you can leave right away and go away, because it is not yet time for you to leave this world. There is some more work for you to do. I have some work, and you have to ask me, what is it that people who are living in the age of Kali, what can they do to get themselves? And that is what I'm going to do. And that is your duty, to spread this to the world. Therefore, leave everything and go away from here, he said. Opposite of what he told Arjuna. He said, fight. To Uddhava, he said, no, don't stay anymore here. Take the role of a sannyasi. Leave everything. Don't carry anything with you. Just a water pot or one pair of clothes, and walk like a hippie or a sannyasi back onto this thing, and there you will be, this thing. Giving up, and give up love for your kinsmen also, and fix your mind entirely on me with evenness of vision. Tadiham manasa vaja chakshubhyam shravanadibihi nashcharam guhyamanam cha vidhi maya manomayam. Now, he's a very important thing he says, which has only been understood by modern science in the 20th century. What is it? What did he say? He says, whatever is cognized by the mind, speech, eyes, ears, nose, that is the five senses, know it all to be a figment of the mind. A phantasmagoria, it's a maya. And it is doomed to pass away. This is a most interesting thing which he has said from the beginning. As I said, this has only been understood, not even really fully understood by Western science till now. The mind is the one which makes this world for us. When the mind is not there, there is no world. Have you realized that? When we, in deep sea, for instance, the mind is totally shut up. Where is your world? There is no world for you at your time of day. And that is a very blissful experience also. Because that is the experience of that divinity which is in everything at all times. But that experience of the divinity is not available to us when the mind is constantly looking outward and seeing so many different things. Because the world is a world of duality. Good and bad, rich and poor, night and day. This is the constant kind of seesaw we are on. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes elated, sometimes down, dejected. This is how the mind works. The whole phantasmagoria of this drama of our life is created. The only thing which creates is the mind. This is the mind. These are known as metaverse or something. You know, when you might have, nowadays it's easier for us to understand this. We have what is known as the virtual. You have these virtuals everywhere you go to see an artist, for instance, Van Gogh or something like that. You don't see the artist's work as such. You are made to go into a world which is a kind of a meta world where that artist lived and how he painted and all that. We are projected into that world. If you wear a kind of a headphones, when you wear those headphones, then you feel as you are part of that. It may even take you to some where the dinosaurs are there and so on. You feel you're with the dinosaurs, and that is so real. That is so real because the whole thing is what they call a meta world. The moment you take off the goggles, those things which you are wearing, the moment you take it off, you come back to this world. When you put that on, you see that. So actually speaking, this metaverse actually, not a meta world, not a universe, but a metaverse, this created by the mind. The mind is the one which wears these goggles and creates this amazing universe of diversity which totally captivates us sometimes, totally dejects us sometimes. This is what is known as Maya, which the Rishis said. So this is exactly that which science has just now understood. Science has just realized that this actually, the mind is a culprit which creates this entire creation of the good and bad and duality for us. So that's the first thing he tells them. This mind has created all this. So give up this notion that this is a reality, that which we are seeing. Give up this notion that is reality. What does quantum physics tell us? We think that this is all, matter is real, solid. But what does quantum physics tell us? Matter is only energy in motion. Can you imagine that? It's a big game or a dance of protons, neutrons, and all sorts of things like that. It's going on and on and on. We cannot even know. We don't realize, we don't see this because the mind with its 5 senses gives us all sensory, we are besetted by sensory experiences all over, so that we are always in a state of tension, so long as we are totally in fixed mind. So that is why, if we were always like that, we would become mad people. That's why actually nature has given us something called sleep. Every person has some sleep. And that sleep is what refreshes him. Because at that sleep, we have no mind. When there's no mind, there is peace. When there's no mind, it's bliss. When there's no mind, we are living in a blissful state. So that blissful state which is enjoyed even by an enlightened soul, is enjoyed by every beggar or a king, which doesn't matter what it is, when he sleeps, goes to sleep. Now that's why we all become refreshed and much, really more energetic after a good sleep. And if you haven't had a good sleep, with tossing, turning, dreaming, sleep filled with dreams, it doesn't, it makes you feel very lethargic the next day, very sleepy. So it is the mind which is a culprit all over. That's why his first thing which he says to Uddhava is this, which modern science has only now understood. Yadidam manasa vaja chakshubhyam shravanadibi, all the 5 senses. Nascharam grihamanam cha vidhi maya manomayam. Whatever is recognized by the mind, speech, eyes, ears, and all the other the instruments of knowledge, know it all to be a figment of that mind, a phantasmagoria, and withal is doomed to pass away, he says. It will not last. Nothing lasts in this world. Everything is ephemeral. What you see yesterday was not what you see today. The rose which bloomed yesterday will die away today. Everything, every second we are changing even though we don't know it. Our bodies are changing, the world is changing, people are changing, trees are changing, everything changes every minute and every second. But you don't understand it. The mind is the one which makes it into all a beautiful whole, which we think is beautiful. But actually it is not the truth. It is only Maya. Just as it is not the truth. What we see on the TV screen is not the truth. We can see it, we can enjoy it, there's no harm. But once we think that this is the only reality, then we are doomed to be in it forever. Again and again and again we come back into this ocean of perishable ocean, which keeps repeating itself all the time. So that is the very first thing that he says is a great scientific truth which only has been found out by modern science in the 20th century, mind you. Till now we were not. And I said it is more easy to explain such a thing to you all because now you have, even as children, they have these headphones by which they can enter into a metaverse by which they can go and experience something which is happening. And so long as you follow the rules of that game at that time, then everything works. But once if you take away this these goggles and whatever you're wearing, the headset, when you take it off, you're back into the real world. So this is how the world catches up. Now that is how we can understand this better in this age. Even a child can understand what I'm saying because the mind is the headset which creates this world of fantasy, this world of sorrow and joy and pain and pleasure and night and day and joy, whatever you can think, all this, the dualities which you think, which sometimes give us great pleasure, sometimes give us great pain. This is created by that mind and mind alone. Therefore, this is the first thing that he says to Uddhava. And after that he says, from next chapter onwards, not next chapter, next verse onwards, he will say, being thus commanded by the Uddhava, and say, so he was commanded, he tells Uddhava to go. So Uddhava, Bhagavan tells him, go Uddhava, get your Uddhava, go somewhere. So he says, Uddhava first tells him, Yogesha Yoga Vinyasa, Yogatman Yoga Sambhava, Nishreyasa Masa Me Proktam Tyagas Sannyasa Lakshana. O Lord of Lords, Yoga, King of Kings, or Lord of Yoga, thou embodiment of yoga, from whom yoga emanates, from my liberation, thou hast told me the path of renunciation, known as sannyasa. Tyagoyam dushkaro bhuman, kamanam vishayatmahi, sudaram tvai sarvatmam, na bhaktairidi me madihi. O thou infinite one, I consider the renunciation of desires as difficult for worldly minded people, and more so for those who are not devoted to thee, who are the self-abhorred. Therefore he said, you have told me to take up sannyas. He told Arjuna to go into the world and fight. To Uddhava he says, take up sannyas. Arjuna had said, actually, isn't it better for me to leave everything and take up sannyas and go to the Himalayas? And Bhagavan tells him, no, that is not the path for you. Today to Uddhava he says, yes, take up sannyas. Go Uddhava, go and renounce all your attachments, your family and your friends, and walk forward, thinking only because that is the way to liberation. Take up sannyas, he said. So Uddhava tells him, it is very difficult for people, for me perhaps, because you have told me by yourself, but maybe for other people it's not so this thing. So please tell me, O Lord, how are they to be? How are they to act? How are they? So for the sake of others, actually, Uddhava keeps on asking him question after question after question. So this we will take from next Saturday onwards. Today it's Friday because I did not want to start this on a Saturday. But from next Saturday at the same time, 11 to 12, we shall continue with the Uddhava Gita. I'm happy to see that so many people are interested in this because it's really a very, very important part of his teachings. His two great teachings, one to Arjuna and this to Uddhava. Both are equally important for us. So I'm so happy that all of you have joined us today, and I hope that from next Saturday again we will continue. And on the Sunday, of course, on Sundays, as usual, from 11 to 12, we will have our question answers. And all blessings to you. May Lord Krishna bless you with all, not only desire, but enlightenment, and take you to the highest, which, along with Uddhava, may we also be taken to the highest, because that was the wish of the Lord. Hari Om. That's it. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Vajrani Pashyantu Ma kaschid dukkha bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka samastat sukhino bhavantu. Loka samastat sukhino bhavantu. Loka samastat sukhino bhavantu. Hari Om Tat Sat.